Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Renee Michelle Merrifield Show. It's your girl, Renee Michelle Merrifield, coming to you live.
What's up, girl?
How you doing, boy?
Ooh, let me get a shot of these
Who's this over
shoes.
here? Jason Aaron?
Hold on, let me get a shot of those shoes.
Oh, yeah. We always do the foot thing.
Those
It's a
are
weird
pretty,
thing that
what are
I'm
those called,
doing,
naked? Those are the naked variety?
Yeah, showing my feet.
I mean the color. Isn't that called nude or naked or something?
Oh, yeah, they're called naked, nude, whatever you want to call them. Nude, for sure. How are you doing, Jolly? Talk to me.
Doing pretty good. Thanks for asking.
What's up
I'm
over
just
there?
pushing buttons and where am I at? There I am. And hello, everyone. I'm Jason Aaron. .pro if you're nasty.
.pro if you're nasty.
.pro if you're nasty.
What?
It's a Janet Jackson thing. You wouldn't understand.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I love Janet Jackson. She's a cootie patootie.
Cootie?
Cootie patootie. So, everybody, you're watching the Renee Michelle Merrifield Show. Let's see, Jolly. Guys, I'm doing these daily blips now along with the show, so make sure you check those out. You can view them on all public listening viewing platforms, Lipsum and Apple Music, stuff like that, Spotify. But yeah, they're like yesterday was National Beer Day, so I hope everyone enjoyed that and clanked one back. I drank all my beer, so we're drinking some Irish whiskey that my guest brought, and I'm so excited for our guest. Jolly, do you have anything to add in before I go crazy?
Well, I mean, let's get a shot of his little books there.
Guys, we have an award-winning author and speaker in the house, not to mention host of drumroll, Jolly's own Blue Collar Real Estate podcast show.
That's not really mine. I just push buttons behind there.
Yes, you
it's
produce
really
for them.
Greg Mayo's and Ryan Herget's.
Yes, Greg and Ryan. So I'm so excited. Without further ado, I have a special guest today on the Renee Michelle Merrifield Show, Gregory Mayo. Okay, here's his bio. He started working as a freelance writer the summer after high school at a local newspaper. By then, he had already been speaking to youth groups about recovery and dysfunctional families. His abortion story took him down some different paths and roads. Like Ben in his book, Almost Daddy, he moved all over the place, tried different jobs, different relationships, and different lives. Eventually, he found his way home and to recovery. That step of faith led him to speaking, writing, and leading recovery groups. Today, he is a husband, father, grandfather, carpenter, fisherman, and teacher. Shout out to the Lord above, he says. Please give it up for the host of Blue Collar Real Estate Show, award-winning author and speaker, Greg Mayo.
Girl, how you doing?
What's up? Good to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. I see your work. I see you slaying out here on the streets with the Blue Collar Real Estate, and you are such a fun comic relief on the show. I love it. I mean, Ryan's awesome too. You're both a great team together. It's just an awesome show.
Yeah, if it wasn't for Ryan, we wouldn't have much content. It would just be really bad dad jokes for half an hour, but you know. And wait, can we back up for just a second before we get into this?
Yeah, what's up?
We've been doing this podcast, Blue Collar Real Estate, for a couple of years now?
Since October of 18 or
2019.
How am I just finding out about the Jolly thing?
Well, somebody hasn't been paying attention.
Isn't that cute? I know. And my
I'm
papa calls him Jolly.
I'm trying to move her away from it because like Jolly doesn't really jive with my rebranded name. You know,
Jason
that's
Aaron,
part of my
pro.
last name. It's a play off of Jolliffe. We do have Jollies in my ancestry, but it's really yeah. If we could, Renee, if you could start going, just maybe call me Hey.pro or something like that.
Hey.pro, yeah, right. That's why you're a baby.
I feel like I'm getting ready to get all into the Jolly, but
it's so
we'll
cute.
see how it goes.
Yeah, my papa's now calling him Jolly. Everyone's calling him Jolly. Just Jolly
It's
this,
endearing.
Jolly that. I have a million pet names for him. It's annoying. We're like ridiculously cute. It's really weird. But what do I have? Jolliffe, Jolly, Job, Jod.
Those aren't real things. I've never heard those before in my life. I don't.
Jollifer.
This is all new, just coming out today.
Interesting.
Kitten, puppy.
Okay.
You're like, stop.
All right.
I can do this all night. I don't know about Jason, but
no, it's an honor to have you on the show. I mean, you're a seriously like successful writer. I read the first chapter of this, and I just read it today. I meant to do that yesterday when I got the book, but I mean, obviously it takes longer than a day to read, but I was so blown away with the first chapter. It evoked so much emotion in me, and it was beautifully written. I mean, you really... you slayed it. I can't wait to read the rest of the book. And that was Almost Daddy. That's your new book that just came out, right? 4 months ago or so?
Came out in November, yeah.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It was a project that took me 6 years to write, or like I say, 5.5 years to plan and really 6 months to write. But yeah, it was a story that wouldn't let me go. I had to tell it, and the more I put it off, the more it bugged the nonsense out of me. So I finally just sat down and kicked the can down the road a little further every day, and before I knew it, the thing was done.
That's amazing. So it just kind of marinated almost, and that's what made it so awesome. I mean, I can't wait to read the rest of this book. I was telling you before the show, like, I used to read all the time, and for some reason I've been like starving myself in the things I love, which I'm like, oh no, negativity, no, you got to do what you love, right? Which reading to me very important. So it's good
until the horrible accident, and now she can no longer read.
I can no
so sad.
I don't know. I forgot how to read. But the first freaking chapter of this book, and I'm so excited to like, I'm excited to read, and that's such an amazing feeling. So that you guys got to pick this up. This is his new one. Now you have your first book, which is Finding Forgiveness. I love how sorry, I'm jumping around, but reading your reviews on your website, people are just going lavish over it. Like, they're so complimentary, and
lavish?
Yeah, and they love your books, and it's why, because it's amazing. It's awesome.
Well, and I appreciate that. I think the big thing especially with Almost Daddy, is that it resonates with people. Like we talked before the show, I think whatever you do, if you do it with the best level of authenticity you can, whether it's music or poetry or building a fence, whatever it is you're doing, right? Then somehow that comes out. And with this story, I felt like it was an important story to tell.
Yeah, tell us about it. Like, I mean, tell us about the book. Tell us about your process and everything that you went through.
Like I tell people, with Finding Forgiveness, I was learning how to write a book. I had written for newspapers and magazines my whole adult life. I've written short stories and all kinds of different stuff. Finding Forgiveness, I figured out how to write a book. Almost Daddy, I figured out how to tell a story. And a part of it's my story. I get asked this by people that read it all the time. It's not an autobiography.
Like, is it an autobiography?
No, but the first chapter...
You draw from different experiences in your life.
Right. But the first chapter is pretty much how it happened for me at 18 years old. And so when I finally got to a place in my life, I was almost 40, when I found recovery about all that, right, my abortion experience. I realized that I needed to tell the story, but I also realized that it couldn't be a memoir, or an autobiography. I guess memoirs are for famous people. It's kind of like, if I get shot, I'm just shot. If somebody famous gets shot, they're assassinated. Why can't I be assassinated?
Right.
Jason, let's work that in.
Some people have all
famous.
the luck, I tell you.
But
memoir.
But because life's messy, right?
For sure.
The trajectory in my life from 18 to, say, 28 was all over the stinking place. And so I pulled from experiences I had in that decade. The places in the book are places I lived, but not necessarily exactly what happened when I was there.
Right.
But like I told you earlier, I can't write about Denver. I never lived there.
Right.
But I can write about Grand Island, Nebraska. I lived there.
That's where you lived, yeah. Definitely. The story is so powerful, and it speaks to so many people, I'm sure, that have gone through certain things, regarding abortion. And a lot of times people, it's a very touchy subject for sure. And one of your reviews, this guy, he went off, and it was such a beautiful review. I forget who that was again, but yeah.
Went off in a good way?
In a good way,
okay.
Yeah. And it was a beautiful review. I'd like to read it later, honestly, but read it for the viewers. But yeah, I mean, it's a sensitive subject, but you're on the line to where you're not judging, and you're not saying this or that. I mean, you're just sharing your experience. And it's, a lot of times people, when they have had abortions, when you're very young and stuff, and and just the pressure of that. It's real. And so you're really just sharing this experience, and I think that's great. I mean, have you had a lot of people just reach out to you and kind of share their experience and open up and feel healed because of the book?
Well, I don't provide healing. Certainly nothing I write does. But hopefully it points people to healing.
I bet it does.
My big thing was when I sat down to write this, okay, first of all, I'm not getting involved in politics.
Right, for
I
sure.
have zero interest. I'm not getting involved in all those arguments that are way over there. When I had my abortion experience, I was 18 years old, and I was sitting on the steps, just like in the book, with Ben, and I remember looking out, and I saw these signs: baby killer, burn in hell, yada, 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 whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's not healing.
Right. That's just making the situation worse. Yeah. Who would do that? I mean, that's
And so what I decided I needed to do was tell a story that followed. So there's a thing that happens to some people, right? And I'm not speaking for everybody. I can't do that. I literally can only speak for me, and even then sometimes I'm a little off. But when you tell a story like this, it's about showing the path that is possible, the things that may happen. There's a thing called post-abortion syndrome, which is psychological things that affect you after an abortion. Mm-hmm. Kind
of like PTSD.
Yeah, exactly. And so what I wanted to do was show in story form a guy as those things, those acting out behaviors, as we call them, started manifesting in his life. And his path back to hopefully redemption, healing, forgiveness, all those things. But the point of the book was about healing. It was about hope. It was about trying to help people that were hurting. It's not about trying to change laws or fight with politicians or
right, which is why I really, really like it, is because you're firm in your story and what happened to you, but you're not like rude or judgy at all, and you're very open-minded.
Well, the thing with recovery, when you go through enough recovery about anything, is that you learn pretty quick your own brokenness, right? Mm-hmm. And when you're honest about your own brokenness, the one thing that does is provides almost automatically provides a level of humility where it becomes impossible to judge another person.
Right.
If I see someone acting poorly, unless it's on the highway, then let's be honest, then I react like everybody else. But
road rage.
If I see somebody acting out in a way, my first thought is, who hurt them? What hurt them?
Yeah, what are they going through? What has been done to them in their life? Yeah.
And so when you're honest with your own faults, your own failings, your own whatever, then you don't want to judge another person. You want to hope and pray that they find healing. Mm-hmm. For sure. It becomes a vicious cycle, but in a great way, right? Healing begets healing, begets healing, begets healing, begets hope, and so on.
Like an endless circle.
Yeah.
So once you pop in through the circle, you're just part of it, you know what I mean? But until then, it's just negativity.
And that's what I wanted to avoid.
Yeah,
for sure. I don't have any room in my life for that.
Mm-mm. Oh, heck, no.
Jason,
no negativity,
do I have
honey.
to sing too?
Yeah,
you know,
it's in the writer.
We were talking before the show, and you don't have to talk too much about it, but you said you were a singer in your younger days. Hair flip, that's awesome. You know, that's what
Flip
I do
your hair,
for
Greg.
a living.
I used to be able
your hair
to.
back and forth.
There's really not much going on.
I need to
You
see
had
those
long hair
photos.
back in the day, yeah, you said.
You sure do not need to see those
Oh,
photos.
yeah, we do.
I really do.
Yeah, I was in a band.
Love it.
Hair metal band back in the day. Our biggest mistake was we did all original stuff. And we're like, we're not doing
Originals were
covers.
good.
We're doing our own stuff. And you know, me and my guitar player, and we're still great friends to this day, we probably together wrote 70 or 80 songs. And I'd say 3 of them are really good.
I'm not good at math, but what is that percentage?
Yeah, not good.
Public school failed me.
And so, you know, and then I did a couple little cover bands here and there after that. And then the hair metal scene died, and it became grunge.
Rip.
And I'm like, okay, number one, I've got flannels, but I wash them. I comb my hair. I can't hunch over a microphone and be sad.
You're like, I can't do this genre right now. Get back to the authentic to you.
Right. So I just moved on. And honestly,
I bet you still have a really good voice.
I don't know. Like I told you, I'm on the way over here to the studio, and Richie Sambora's song off his first album came on. I
Bon
start singing
Jovi's bass
guitar player.
Guitar player, yeah.
Yeah. Richie's got a killer voice, still does to this day. He remade a Deep Purple song, not to get too much off subject, but
You're like, I love this.
No such thing as off subject.
Yeah.
When a Blind Man Cries is the name of the song. It was a B-side on a Deep Purple song back in the 70s.
I'll check it out.
Richie Sambora, When a Blind Man Cries. I swear, pull it up sometime. It'll give you chills.
Who would have thought that a band member in John Bon Jovi's band was potentially better than John Bon Jovi?
Oh, yeah. A friend of mine said when Richie's solo album came out in 89 or 90, whenever it was, his first one, the one I was just referencing, a buddy of mine said, Richie's going to be the Eric Clapton of our generation, and John Bon Jovi is going to be the Barry Manilow. Kind of how that's worked out. Anyway.
Are they psychic?
But I was singing that song, and there's a lot of the notes that I'm not going to do anymore. It's just not going to happen. So
yeah, well, I teach voice lessons for a living. Come hit your girl up.
If you can bring me back to a full first tenor, we'll have to talk after the show.
Oh, I definitely can. If it was there once, it's there forever. You just gotta kind of awaken it. It's sleeping.
It's like riding a mic.
Right. Nice.
See what I did there?
You did. That was awesome.
That's a great joke.
Yeah, I love singing. It's my life. It's my life. What's it called? Shameless plug. Check out my band, Dude. We're actually doing a gig this Saturday. If you and your wife are doing anything,
Dude! Exclamation point.
Dude! Exclamation point. We're going to Whiskey Business South, 9 to 12:30. Super fun. Super fun. Rock and roll.
Right on.
Yes, it's so fun. So, speaking of your beautiful wife, you guys have been married. You just recently had an anniversary on April 4th, 21 years to Stacy. Shout out, Stacy.
And
that's awesome.
The woman should be sainted for putting up with me for 21 years. That's amazing. And with this book, it's a touchy subject.
Yeah.
And all of those things happened before I ever met her. I met Stacy when I was 28 years old. And so for her to be so incredibly supportive
yeah.
and you've got to do this and you got to get this out here and you got to tell this story, I wouldn't have been able to done it without that. You just can't. Anybody who's been married for any period of time knows you have to have that woman behind you pushing you along, going, no, you got to do this, you got to get it out.
Yes.
Pushing you off the ledge.
Pushing you off the
ledge. Right, exactly.
The yin to the yang. It's good to see really good marriages and good couples that just are madly in love and they stand the test of time, and you can tell she's your rock. She's in every single one of your profile pictures, and I just love that. I mean, I don't know you guys, but it seems like you have a really nice relationship. It's good to have that supportive woman in your life. Am I right?
Absolutely. Then it takes time. It's a process. We've been married so long, and that I have young guys now asking me what the secret is to marriage. And the answer is, I don't have any idea.
You just keep on loving.
I really don't. When I proposed to my wife, I said, look, my parents have both been divorced from each other and then again.
Right.
And I didn't want to divorce.
Do that. Yeah.
And so I said, look, you can take some time, think about it, take a couple days, whatever you need, but understand this. I don't believe in divorce.
I never want to divorce you, but...
And she'd tell you now, if she was sitting here for the first couple of years, she didn't believe me. And then she figured out at one point, oh, he's serious. He's not going anywhere.
Yeah, that's like me and Jolly. Like, I'm not going anywhere. So, buddy, you stuck with me. He's like, help.
Attaboy, Jolly. That was fantastic.
Call the police. Writes help in fog in the window.
Right.
I know we got into it a little bit, but we've got, why don't we show some clips from the Blue Collar Real Estate podcast.
So you and Ryan are hosts of the Blue Collar Real Estate, and I love it. I think this is a great podcast. Before Jolly shows some of these clips, I think you guys are so awesome because you talk about so many things, not just real estate, but I mean, I actually went through your page and wrote just some of your recent episodes were market trends, investor perspectives, digging, trucking, footings, foundations, plumbing, state of the market, roofing, and trades, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like, you guys are slaying this. I mean, that's awesome. And it's really informative, fun. I mean, it's a great show.
Well, thank you.
You guys are getting up there in likes, almost 1,000 likes. Maybe we can get there. We're at 800 now for these guys for Blue Collar Real Estate. So Facebook them and give them a like. Get you to 1,000.
That'd be great. And then Jason will take Ryan and I out to dinner.
Yeah, sure.
Ask for the Wu-Tang or whatever it's called.
Taco Bell. Jeez, fancy.
When I had the idea for Blue Collar Real Estate, again, it goes back to that authenticity thing.
Mm-hmm.
I just
True
wanted
to thyself.
Yeah, I wanted to be me. When I got into real estate, I'd listen to these podcasts, and all the guys on them, the ones that I found anyway, they sounded like middle-aged frat boys. I'm like, what is this? How is this helpful? Do you want to sell $20 million? No, I don't. But I want to be good and effective to help my clients. Anyway, so I had this idea, and I had the idea for the name Blue Collar Real Estate because I believe anything is a blue-collar job. You get up, you pull your boots up, you walk out the door. As Dave Ramsey says, you kill something, drag it back to the cave, and eat it.
You're putting in that work.
Right. And so I came up with the name, and I sat on it for about a year, and then Ryan and I, who had been at a brokerage before, and then we kind of were doing our own thing, and then we came back together again, and I told him about it, and he's like, dude, hell yeah, let's do this. One thing led to another. His wife met Jason. Jason brought us in.
The show was born.
And we do what we want. And it's not like a kid, like, I do what I want.
It's just fun, and you guys are really informative, too. Like you said, helping your people.
Yeah, we want to talk
Your
about
clients.
the trades. We want to talk about what really happens. Tomorrow night, we're going to be talking about insulation on a new build we got going and why that matters, and just have a real honest conversation about real estate, right?
Yeah, and it is honest, and it doesn't feel like, like you said, like the frat boy vibe. Like, it's so honest, it's so caring, and you're helping like everyday people that go through all this stuff with their house and their land, their home, everything, their building. You just talk about all of it. It's awesome. It's really helpful.
Well, thanks. Yeah, it's a
you
lot
guys
of fun.
are killing it.
Jason, roll that beautiful bean.
I forgot about that. Yeah,
remember?
Yeah, roll it.
Welcome to another edition of Blue Collar Real Estate. I'm Ryan Herget.
And I'm Greg Mayo. Hey, today is our first live episode, dude.
I'm a little nervous, I gotta be honest. I'm a little nervous about this.
Well, all 6 of the people out there watching right now are excited that we're going live. We got a great topic today, but before we get into the topic, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review, right? Very important.
Those are the rules.
Today's episode is brought to you by Fishalini's Pizza Buffet and Roman Bathhouse. Look, if you're going to eat with strangers, why not bathe with them, am I right? Today's episode
These are like all the
brought to you
fake
by
sponsors.
Mortimer's Veterinary Clinic and
Or real
Taxidermy
sponsors.
Shop. If we can't fix
I'm waiting
Fluffy,
for my
we'll
favorite
stuff her. Brought to you by Stanley's
Ryan's
Sushi
face.
Buffet and Laundromat.
Yeah.
Because if you eat at our buffet and fill your belly, we'll help you clean your pants. So that's kind of where we're going with that.
Sushi and laundry.
Oh, I'm sure that's a good place.
Today's episode brought to you by Walt's Haberdashery and Food Delivery Service. Because not only is haberdashery fun to say, but having a mobile tailor that brings you a sandwich too,
Why not?
I don't see the downside.
Kill 2 birds, 1 stone, right?
Isn't that a fun word, haberdashery?
I've never even. I'm like,
Brought to you by Willie's Burgers and Alligator Spay Neuter Clinic.
oh boy.
Down on Sunset Beach in St. Petersburg, Florida. So have one of the best burgers in town while you get your gator fixed.
There you go.
Brought to you by Walt's Porta Potty and Food Delivery
Oh,
Service.
that sounds fantastic.
Depending on what you order, they'll wait. I think you know what I'm saying. So we're happy to have them on board as
Oh,
sponsors.
man. Good living.
Big Mike's Mobile Karaoke Bar and Inspection Service.
You gotta love Big Mike and inspections there.
Because if you can drink, have someone serenade you and do your home inspection, I don't see the downside.
That sounds like a good day. Nothing's going wrong at that home inspection for sure.
So we'd like to thank Big Mike for coming on out.
Who came on board this week with
Well,
us?
this week we've got Smart Money Distillery and Sports Betting Facility.
Oh, I would like that one.
Because there's nothing like some homemade moonshine to help you make the right decisions with gambling. This week, I'm so excited to announce we have Lenny's Soup Truck and Septic Cleanout Service,
Oh, well, that's a great combination, don't you think?
where they promise not to fill your bowl from the wrong tube.
It's a promise. It only happens once or twice a year.
Yeah,
It's all right.
and you know,
Details, right?
with enough sour cream and crackers, you don't know the difference.
Nah.
I do want to acknowledge our new sponsor today.
We got a new sponsor.
We got a new one for today. I'm excited to have him on, Jimmy's Truck Wash and High Colonic Spa.
What is hycolonics?
It's a fancy word for enema.
Oh, well, in that
They'll
case, then
they'll clean your big rig and power wash your colon.
This is
all in the same
this is
stop.
looking good. The show's heading in a really positive direction, I feel.
Look at the lower screen down there. Jason likes that. He wants the address.
Oh man, yeah, we'll have to send some referrals their way.
The downright dedication.
That was 3 minutes of goodness right there, buddy.
Hilarious. Oh my God. You should put that on YouTube. That's so funny.
Well, they are all on YouTube.
They
all
actually
those
are.
edits.
Oh, you mean just that
Just
little?
the one of
That's
all the
actually
edits.
Not
That's
a bad
funny.
idea, actually.
Actually, it's on the Blue Collar Real Estate YouTube page.
Okay, good.
Okay,
good.
that needs to be out there. That's so funny. You're so funny.
In the beginning, we didn't have an actual sponsor, so I just kept making them up. And at first I was just going to use Chico bail bonds, from Bad News Bears. And then I was like, well, what could you combine that with that makes no sense? Oh, a nail salon. And then it just kind of...
It kept going from there. I love the dedication. That was great. I love Ryan's reactions. Sometimes he's just like, what?
Yeah, because he doesn't. You don't tell him.
No.
Then it's totally he's hearing it for the first time, and you can tell.
There's
That is
one
so funny.
that it's on our Blue Collar Real Estate YouTube page on the whole montage, but there's one where I catch him totally off guard, and his reaction is priceless. Because Ryan's a very kept together guy,
Yeah.
and I admire that about him. But so
He lost it.
The fake sponsors kept getting more and more weird, trying to throw him off, and finally I succeeded. And that was a proud moment for Greg.
Little pat on the back there.
Oh my gosh, we'll have to find that. I need to see that. So it's on what you're talking about is on the Blue Collar Real Estate page, yes, and on the YouTube. Everybody needs to check them out. There is, like I said, 800 likes. We need to get to 1,000 for these guys. That's awesome. That's a lot.
I like where your head's at.
I love how you're always posting and you're doing real estate and you're just in the dirt of it all. And I love watching all the videos. I mean, you guys go from tearing lawns up to just everything. Wow. All of it.
We have a lot of fun.
And we're live every Friday at 5:00. So
yes, check them out.
you
Friday
get
at
to tune
5.
in and comment, and here's the page right here. So
Oh, look, it's me.
give it a little, yeah, I know we're currently live.
Hey, that is you.
That's me.
Look at that.
How
And
are
you
you
too.
there and there? And
I'm
there
everywhere.
And there.
I'm everywhere.
But it's funny since the book has started taking off, and I've got a couple of speaking engagements booked here and in St. Louis and in Louisville. And
Beautiful.
people keep asking me, "Are you still doing real estate?" I'm like, "Okay, that's
Forever.
not how this works." I'd have to sell a whole lot of books,
Yeah.
and honestly, even then, I think I would still do real estate. I just enjoy houses. Mm-hmm. I think they're cool. I like every part of it.
You're really good at it. I love seeing going through the videos and you randomly just spat off this information about the house. You can look at a house and you're like, this is a 5-bath, 4-bathroom, blank by blank. I'm like, dang, he's really good at this.
Well, when you've been doing it 20 plus
yeah,
years,
you know your stuff.
I've been around houses my whole adult life.
Mm-hmm.
When I was 13, we added onto our house, and we added on a bunch, and the framers let me help. I was running their coffee, and they let me help, and I thought that was so cool. I show up, I got my little canvas apron on and my little 16-ounce hammer, and I'm like, what can I do?
Oh.
And the dude was so cool. He's like, do you know how to lay out a wall? I said, no, sir, I don't. He said, you're going to learn right now. And
That's
from that
cool.
moment on, I loved construction. Mm-hmm. But I also loved writing.
Right.
It's how do you do both? Well, and people have asked me that. Well, how are you a real estate agent and a writer? Or before, when I was a contractor, when the first book came out, how are you a contractor and a writer? That doesn't seem right.
I do what I
Why
want.
does all the people have weird voices?
I don't know, Jason.
I don't know, Jason.
But it's strange. And then the other guy, and he sounded pretty normal. He was like, I won't understand you at all. What's the matter with you? I don't know. That was like a weird Uncle Remus thing. I don't know.
It was a little Elvis-y.
Zippity. But the thing is, to me, and we talked about this a little bit before the show, everything you do, in my opinion, can be an artistic expression.
Right.
When I was doing decks, to me, that was a form of art. It was a very heavy, labor-intensive form of art.
Yeah.
Not like writing a book. But what are we watching now?
He's got, this is,
Oh,
okay.
ignore that. No one was seeing it. It's close up on you. I don't know what you're talking about. What? It's just a poster.
My TikTok went viral, and so I'm super excited about it.
That's not it.
TikTok.
Yeah. Dolly, play the video.
Oh, no. I know what that is.
Well, it's the stupidest little video. I mean, it's one of those little creepy squishy things from back in the 90s, and it's hard to explain, but you squeeze it. I don't even know what it even is called. But all of a sudden it got, I don't know how many, 300,000 views, 6,000 likes, and I'm like, yeah. So
That thing?
I'm super proud of myself. Yeah, this tiny little video got just randomly just slapped.
These things absolutely creep me out. Always have. Always will.
Creepy squishy. I'd say that's Accurate.
Creepy squishy.
6,041
Absolutely.
likes or hearts or
out.
whatever.
Always
Does it show you how many?
And it's like 300,000. Where's the?
The
These
most
things absolutely
random things go viral.
creep
I've been
me
trying
out.
to get attention
Oh,
for my whole
always
life
have.
on these
Always
types of
will.
things, doing funny stuff, and no one thinks I'm funny. And then all of a sudden, this thing, I'm like, hey, I'm happy about it. So,
I don't understand a lot of the social media stuff.
me neither.
My nephew
I'm just outside the
recommended that for real estate I get on TikTok.
People,
This was a couple of years ago, and I'm like,
hashtag real estate.
hashtag, what the hell's TikTok?
Hashtag, what the hell is a hashtag?
286,000 right there.
Dang.
Yes.
So I pull it up on my phone, and I'm scrolling through different videos, and I'm thinking, like, none of this resonates with me. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
So I deleted the app because I'm old and I don't get stuff.
I feel that.
But I'm almost to the age where I start calling it Walmart and replace that with the Walmart.
Let's go to the Walmart.
No, you gotta twang it a little bit. We're gonna go down to the Walmart.
We can go down to the Walmart.
I ain't going there today.
I gotta make a special trip.
Shout out to Glenn Bill watching.
Glenn Bill, cheers, buddy. Motivational speaker, Glenn Bill.
Glenn Bill, I know that guy. Well, I don't know him. I know his show.
Yeah, he's awesome. Yeah, so Jason does Glenn Bill's show. He does y'all's show, Blue Collar Real Estate.
So tell Glenn, me and him coffee. Let's hook that up.
Yes,
I need to talk
Greg
to this
and,
cat.
Greg and Glenn. That's a good coffee date right there.
So I'm kind of, be honest with the speaking things that are coming up. One of them's at a church. That's a pretty safe place for this kind of book.
Yeah, are you excited?
Oh, yeah. One of them's not. So we're going to see how that goes in East St. Louis. But I'm looking forward to it, and I'm excited because any opportunity I have to engage and have the conversation, right? When I've shared my story at different places and in front of different groups, every single time a guy has come up to me afterwards, at least one, and wanted to share their story. So as of today, since abortion became legal nationally in the U.S., there's been 62.5 million abortions in the U.S. Now, again, like we talked before, not everybody has a problem with having had an abortion. That's fine. I'm not trying to
Didn't affect
convince anybody
them.
of anything.
Yeah, just telling your story.
But I got to think, out of 62.5 million, that's 62.5 million men and women, right? Because it takes two
Right.
to make a thing go right. That's a song. Anyway.
To tango.
Not my genre. But so I got to think there's a fairly high percentage of guys that have experienced it like I did, right? That have pain and confusion, all these different things after. And everywhere I speak, that's borne out. But I've also had people on the far right side who've had a problem with the book because the book is real. It's raw. I love watching. You know what PureFlix is, right?
Yeah, it's like Netflix but filtered.
Yeah, it's like I call it Christian Netflix, right?
Yeah.
Or faith-based Netflix, if you will.
And they bleep out the cuss words.
Well, and then they have a lot of movies they produce themselves, and a lot of them have a great message, but aren't super high-quality production.
Okay.
Not super high-quality acting.
Yeah.
Right? But they follow a very typical format, and a lot of the nasty of life, the muck and mud of life is kind of whitewashed, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't like that. Life's real.
Yeah.
I had somebody.
There's some dirt and mud in it.
Yeah, and I had somebody from that camp approach me from the far, right and left, fine, but far right, and say, I won't do a voice on this one, Jason. But the guy said, I read your book, and a couple of the characters smoke. There's drinking in it. Da 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 da. And I said, yes.
That's a real life situation right there.
And he said, and you talk about premarital sex, and I said, yes, I do, because that's real life. That's what happened. Redemption's at the end of that, but we have to talk about what really happened. And he said, well, that would never be passed in the Sunday school. And I said, it'd be horrible to talk about in the Sunday school. Picture a guy who's on a boat with a bunch of people for a long period of time. He gets off the boat, he gets drunk, he passes out, and his daughter-in-law is raping him while he's passed out drunk. Wouldn't that be awful? And I could see in his eyes, he immediately knew what I was talking about, the story of Noah, right, in the Old Testament.
Yeah.
So to me, the only way you get at the truth is to get at the truth, right? You tell the
Show
truth.
the nitty-gritty that happened.
I had someone far on the far left read the book, for actual friend of mine, and texted me, and he was like, dude, I don't understand what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
Like, what's your question? What question do you have? Well, I just don't think, and he went on this whole thing about this legal wrangling and all these protests and things people do. And I said, no, that's not what we're doing. I don't care about that. I don't care about any of that. What I care about is sharing a story that may help people find a way to peace and to hope, right? Mm-hmm. And he said, well, your Christian talk at the end of that's going to turn people off. Maybe it will, but that's the truth of my journey.
That's your truth. Yeah, that's your.
And again,
story.
I think it breaks down to that authentic thing, right? Mm-hmm. And the more I get out there and talk in front of groups of people and the different groups of people, and I don't care who it is, I'll go talk. If I got a email from Planned Parenthood tomorrow and they wanted me to come and talk about my book at their national conference, I'd go. Why not?
Yeah.
Because what I'm saying is not inflammatory. What I have to share is a story that's as real as I could make it.
Yeah, a real story.
And that's what I want to do with everything I write. I just sent off to my editor. Oh, and this is kind of cool. A little sidebar.
Yeah.
The lady that edited this book, I don't know why I touched it like people couldn't figure out what I meant.
This book.
This.
Well, there's two
This
books
one.
there.
Oh, yeah, not this one. This one. Not this one.
Now he's just bragging.
Oh, yeah, you have an announcement, don't you?
I do.
He.
This one was edited by a friend of mine. This was edited by my high school journalism teacher.
And they're probably the best that could do
How
it.
cool is that? I mean, what, 40 years later or whatever?
Yeah.
Wow.
30?
40? 40?
20?
Gulp.
Like 15? I don't know numbers.
I'm 31. Dang it.
Forever.
No, my oldest son's getting ready to turn 30 this month, so maybe I'm not 31. But no, we connected on Facebook several years ago, and on the Facebook.
The Facebook.
And when I was getting close to the end of this, I was talking to her on Facebook chat, and I said, can I hire you to edit it? And she said, oh, that'd be great. And the funniest part was nothing's changed with the way she edits my stuff. She still is hard on me. She still pushes me, which I think is fantastic. So I wrote a recovery guide to this based on the 12 steps.
So your third book, is this.
And Robbie, the editor, she's got it now. Hopefully I'll have it out.
Maybe you said?
Yeah, I'm speaking at a church in Indy May 16th. I'm hoping this is out by then, the recovery guide.
Yeah.
After that, and I'm working on some other stuff. Jason's trying to help me get the audio version of this out and whatever. But after that, I start on Almost Mommy.
Which is going to be your fourth book. Oh my gosh, that's so awesome. So Almost Mommy is her point of view throughout this whole thing.
Right.
So it's not a sequel, but it's like an equal to
A Renee and
Almost
Michelle
Daddy.
Merrifield show exclusive.
Whoa! I have an exclusive. Yay!
That sounds so cool.
That's so cool. I'm so excited. I have an exclusive.
Yeah, so the main characters in the book start off as Ben and Abby, right? And this book follows Ben, and Almost Mommy will follow Abby. And people have asked me, well, how will you write from woman's perspective? I can tell you, having been married 21 years, I don't know how women think.
You're like, I can't.
I don't have a clue. But the most amazing thing happened since this book came out. I've connected with organizations. It has to be a God thing. Clarity Cares in Southern Indiana, Support After Abortion, which is an international organization, all these different groups. And I've had probably 20 women share their story with me. And so I will draw from that as I write the fiction, what happened to Abby.
Definitely. Real life stories.
And then the third book in this series, and it'll be the final, I don't have a title for it yet, but it follows a kid who was aborted.
And survived.
Right.
Dang.
Almost a baby. Almost a child. Almost human.
Almost
Almost
something.
born.
And
Almost aborted.
And then in that story, we get into some things about human trafficking and this and that. Because I think the three biggest things we're not talking about in our society right now, the three most important things, in my opinion, and again, it's my opinion. Mm-hmm. You get what you pay for, which In this case, nothing. So you're not paying anything. But one of the three biggest things we're dealing with in the society that we're not talking about are abortion, addiction, and human trafficking. Mm-hmm. And so I've taken the core story of this Almost Daddy, and I'm trying to tie all three of those together into three different stories that all kind of bump into each other, right?
Yeah. Wow. I didn't know about the fifth one.
See, I waited to drop that on you.
Wow,
until
you
here.
dropped a bomb on me. That's awesome. Exclusive. Renee Michelle Merrifield exclusive.
I just feel like, I'm at a stage of my life. My kids are raised, and I did well or I didn't. I don't know. We'll see.
Oh, you did good.
Yeah, I did the best I could. I really did. But they're raised, and although your kids always come to you and you always spend time with them, God willing, right? Mm-hmm. But now it's on to what do I do now? I'm not ready to just sort of drift. I'm only 51. I'm not ready to. Now, I know, Jason, you thought 31 was actually the number, but it's not.
I wasn't sure.
But I'm not ready to drift on, right? I'm not ready to just ride out and work and then retire. And I don't know what retired people do, play golf and fish, whatever. I mean, I do fish, but...
You're a young buck.
Right.
You got a lot more to do.
And so I've got a total of 7 books to write, so 5 more after these 2. And then I don't know. I might take up painting. I don't know what I'll do.
That's awesome that you have this planned out, and this goal is something that you're definitely going to achieve and working on.
Well, plan's a rough word, especially for me. I'm more of a freewheeler with a general framework and see what happens, which drives Ryan nuts, by the way, on the podcast. But
he's like, structure.
But I want to tell the stories that I feel like I need to tell, and then we'll see what happens. I don't know. I've had this reoccurring dream. I don't know if I should share this on live radio or not.
Do it.
But since I was in my early 20s, I'm up in front of just a sea of humanity, right? And I'm talking about something. I never have any idea what I'm talking about. But there's thousands of people. I'm outside somewhere. And every time I've had this dream, and I've had it off and on for over 20 years now, at the end of the dream ends with me getting shot.
Oh, no.
But the cool thing is, the last few years, I know I don't die because I quote Monty Python. I say, it's just a flesh wound. And,
it's just a flesh wound.
And then everything's okay. So that used to freak me out, right? But now I'm just like, I think.
And because it's reoccurring, at least you know that you didn't die. And you're probably not going to die because it's the same exact dream.
No, and here's the thing. When the older you get, the more you realize, I just don't know.
I don't know anymore what this dream means.
When I was 19, I fell asleep at the wheel coming back from Clayton, Indiana to Plainfield, and I wrecked my car and I totaled it. The first time I'd ever worn a seatbelt in my life.
Wow, that was G-O-D.
Right, and it's a long story about the backstory about it that doesn't really matter, but it was the first time I'd worn a seatbelt. I didn't die. I had fluid on my elbow, and my car looked like an accordion. It was an 84 Cutlass. I love that car.
Oh, rip.
So pretty.
Is it like, what's it called, like hematopa or something like that? Where it's just like a big bubble? Like.
Yeah, it burst a sec, so it was like this, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And I was kind of sore, but whatever. But I made it. And for a long time, I wondered why. Well, I still don't know the answer.
God literally probably intervened and saved you.
But he does that for all of us. All the time. And in small ways we don't even notice, right? Mm-hmm. And so you get to a point where you think, okay, I've got whatever time I've got. I don't know. I may not make it back to my house tonight. I may be 94 like the guy across the street from me. He's like the coolest guy on the planet, by the way.
Hopefully.
So you start having these thoughts, and it's not morbid, and it's not dire. It's actually quite liberating. You start having these thoughts about, what can I leave?
Yeah, legacy.
Not just for my wife and my sons and my grandkids, but what can I leave that will make a difference for somebody else, that will help them further down their journey? So you write stuff if that's your thing, and maybe it does and maybe it doesn't. You do poetry and songs.
Yeah.
You get those out there in front of enough people, who can that help?
Exactly,
right?
Yes.
Look at what Jason does back here. He's constantly helped people produce, get their message out, get their voices heard. Look at him.
Little cutie.
He's all bashful.
He's so
Look
cute,
at him.
little baby.
Aww.
But that's what we're all here for. Whatever your thing is, everybody has a thing, right? Mm-hmm. And so, to me, that's just, okay, well, what's the next thing I can write? What's the next thing I can write? regardless of what you think. I'm not a first tenor anymore. Now, we'll see. Let's do this. What is this? April. So sometime over the summer, we'll start doing lessons.
You should do it. I've been teaching for almost 10 years. I teach people. I teach people of all ages. Not saying that you're old, but I do. I mean, I've taught a 90-year-old, and I've taught a handful of 50-year-olds, and I teach just babies too. Sometimes the babies are Beyonce. You wouldn't even know. It's like they're like, hey, like 4 years old, and you're like. But anyways,
I marvel at that kind of stuff. Well, let's do it. Let's take a few months, and we'll see if you can get me back to where I was in 93.
It's all about that confidence. That's key.
That was never a problem when I was young. Whether it was legit or not, I don't know. But I remember, so I'd gotten kicked out of a band. The drummer said I couldn't sing.
And so you threw your mic at him?
No, I kind of left with my tail between my legs. And it was funny because I had written all the lyrics for all the songs we did, but I was like, okay, whatever. So a few months later, me and my buddy found this place where we lived out in Grand Island, Nebraska. I don't remember the name of it, but it was a bowling alley. That's not the Irish whiskey face we make.
The camera missed it. I was like,
it was a.
It's good though. It's good.
It's good.
It's good. It's good.
I love for the faint of heart.
It was a bowling alley, a go-kart track, and a karaoke bar.
This sounds like one of your sponsors.
Right? But it was a real place, at least in 1992.
Did you run into that douchey drummer guy?
No, because he lived in Indy and I was out in Grand Island,
You
Nebraska.
heard your songs playing on the radio.
No.
Okay, why don't you just let him finish the story?
So my buddy Chris does that all the time, finishes my sentences.
You're like, no.
In 32 years, he's got it right twice. And he's like, ha!
I win. I got it finally.
Anyway, so we would go out and we would have a couple beers and ride around on go-karts and whatever. Well, he got up to sing Donkey Shane one night. And he's like, dude, get up here with me. I'm like, yeah, why not? So we laughed and cut up and whatever. And then back then, Bob and Tom, I don't know if that show's still on. I used to listen to it back then.
Yeah. Q95.
Yeah. But they had this song on. It was Garth Brooks's Friends in Low Places, but it was about Jeffrey Dahmer, so it was called Friends in Crawl Spaces.
Oh.
So Chris and I get up and do that.
I have friends in crawl spaces.
And everybody's laughing and whatever. And then I had another beer and was like, I think I'll get up and sing a Bon Jovi song.
Yay.
So I go walking up there and the music starts and everybody's already laughing. I've already established that this is funny. Whatever the guy with the mullet's getting ready to do, it's funny, right? Or is it Moulet? I don't know.
The T silent.
So I got up and jumped into Dead or Alive, and I ended up winning a karaoke contest that night. And I'm like, oh, I actually can sing. This is kind of cool. So I would do these karaoke contests. That was kind of my thing for a while, right?
Yeah.
And then one night, so I'm in Rockford, Illinois. I lived around a lot different.
Yeah.
Hard to keep track geographically.
Yeah.
Can we get a map up and I can just use a pointer?
Everywhere.
Anyway, so I'm in Rockford, Illinois, and I had gotten up and done another Bon Jovi song, and I was like, oh yeah, I got it tonight, right here. This gal gets up, African-American lady, and she walks up there and she sits down, and the I Will Always Love You starts playing, the music.
Whitney.
And I was like, girl, I know you ain't trying to do Whitney.
Then she slayed it.
She was perfect. Like
I love
walked up
singing
to her
that song.
afterwards and shook her hand. I'm like, oh my God, you're so amazing. It was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life, and I did not win.
Oh, she beat you.
And I'm like, okay, so what have I learned? I'm a decent
I'm
karaoke
okay, but
guy.
there's always someone better.
And I don't know what happened to that lady, but oh my God, her voice was amazing.
Huh.
And when I think about true singers, I think about people like that, or like my cousin Mike, who, if you gave him anything to sing, you would get chills. I don't care what it is. His big thing is Kenny Rogers. I was never a Kenny Rogers fan until he started singing it.
Really?
And I'm like, well, if Kenny Rogers could sing like that, then I would be a fan, you know?
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't know where I was going with that.
Yeah, I love karaoke. It's so amazing.
I used to
So
call it karaoke, and then people started correcting me, and
Like
I dug
karaoke.
in and just refused to say it right.
Like, that's the way I say it.
Like I've heard it both ways.
Karaoke.
So we
Karaoke.
had I got a clip queued up for the little trailer that I kind of helped you put together with the voiceover and stuff.
For your book.
For the
your
book.
New book, Almost
Shall
Daddy.
we take a look at that?
Let's roll that beautiful bean footage.
All right, here it comes.
Just weeks away from graduation, Ben found himself on the steps of a clinic. Alone, confused, and afraid, his girlfriend was inside, making a decision neither could ever undo. For the next decade, Ben lived each day reacting to life and running from life. But now it seems life is passing him by and he feels powerless. Moments come and go, as do people and places, but peace is elusive and always just out of reach. On the road to redemption, Ben will be tested, but the promise of renewed relationship with God and purpose of life is too strong to ignore. This is your invitation to walk this path with Ben.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah, that was
that.
fun. I posted that on Facebook, and one of my sons, my oldest son who lives out west, sent me a message and said, is that going to be a movie? I'm like, hopefully someday, but...
Yeah, that would be cool, huh?
And we figured out, by the way, that the pastor in the book that you meet later on, he's got to be played by Brian Bosworth. That's right, the Boz. We'll get into that later, but another interesting thing that I thought was cool, so the picture on the cover is me and my now 19-year-old son.
No, when he was a baby.
We were on a camping trip. Yeah, probably 3, 2.
Yeah.
We're on a camping trip, and so then a friend of my wife's and mine had this picture framed, and it's been hanging on our wall above the piano for years. So I'm walking around, I'm thinking about what to do for the book cover. And I see that picture, and I'm like, if Spencer, that the kid's name, obviously, if he was like ghosting away, that would be kind of cool.
Oof.
So I found a designer, and she did it, and she cleaned up. In the actual photo, there's a lady walking in front of me about 20 yards. She cleaned up that, and
Nice.
And I talked to my son about it. I'm like, dude, are you okay with being on the book cover?
He was like, yeah, Dad. I was like, 3.
Well, I just, out of respect.
Yeah,
I want to respect his autonomy. And he was like, Dad, that'd be so cool.
Aww.
So, yeah, that kind of worked out kind of neat. And it's funny. Stacy makes fun of me because that was 20 years ago, and I still pretty much wear a T-shirt and cargo shorts all summer. We don't call it summer in my house. We call it cargo short season.
It's cargo short season.
But, yeah, so that was kind of cool. Anyway,
very cool, very
wow.
cool.
Carol Williams Beck from Facebook also says that was cool. That comment's on the screen right now. And thanks to those that are watching, Todd and Jane Penrose and Michael Thompson, Vince LaRocca from
Vince LaRocca
watching from Kansas, and Janet Hellman. So
there's my mama.
Got some people out there
Shout
watching.
out to Jane. I love Jane Penrose.
And Michael Thompson, better known as Mikey T in the circles in Rockford, Illinois. Right on.
He's either saying read it or read it. So like he's telling people to read the book, or he's already read it.
It would be both. When I got the rough draft finished, before I even sent it to my editor, I was talking to Mike, and I said, hey, dude, if I send this to you, would you mind reading it, give me your thoughts? Mm-hmm. He's like, yeah. So he read it before anybody but me did. And he was like, oh, yeah, you got to roll that. You got to roll it right now.
Yeah, definitely. Nice. Yeah, after the show, I'd love to pick your brain, too, on publishing and how I can, I told you I was trying to get my book out there, which is 27 books squished into one book. So someone that has done it and knows what to do. I just don't know, publishing and stuff. I know we had talked about even you thought self-publishing was a great idea as well, going through Amazon. You can get your royalties that way, probably a little better, or right? I don't really know anything about it, but I'll have to pick your brain on that one.
I gotta know what I'm saying. What's a royalty?
What's a royalty?
Not Kate Middleton, not that kind of royalty.
Yeah. That's a crazy family, no.
I'd be happy to share every mistake I made.
Good, yes, because I'm like a sponge. I'll soak it up and then just not make the same mistakes now. You did amazing, and I can't wait to finish reading your second book and read your first book, which for the viewers, you're very you're a loved author because your stories they resonate with people, and it's a real feel. Like your first book, Finding Forgiveness, is about a drunk driver who kills on accident a man's family in a car accident.
Yep.
And so that's very raw. It's a very real, and how each of the characters in their own way have to find forgiveness, and then the driver, he has to find a way to forgive himself, and all of that through God and just his power. And that's really cool. That's just a real life stories, That's very meaningful.
And that's if I'm going to write, that's what I'm going to write.
Mm-hmm.
I'm reading a Stephen King collection of short stories now. He's a fantastic writer. I can't write what he writes.
Right.
That's just not what's in me. But a story about how people wrestle with life and figure out the truth and find their way out of pain into peace. To me, that's what appeals to me. That's the kind of stories I like to see and read. So that's the kind of stories I want to tell.
Definitely.
That whole question of why bad things happen to good people, I've wrestled with that ever since I read Augustine for the first time when I was like 19 or 20.
Mm-hmm.
And so that story kind of wrestles with that, right?
Yeah. I always wondered that too.
Well, and it's a question that probably will never be definitively answered by a human,
mm-hmm.
right? But we can, in our own ways and with our own art forms and our own expression, we can find ways to expand that conversation a little bit and maybe provide a little clarity for all of us, for each other.
Definitely.
That's at least the hope.
Yes, for sure. I love it. You're so talented. It really gets me all hype, about writing and reading, and I love it.
And arithmetic?
Nope, not that.
Oh.
Public school failed me.
Okay.
Don't go down that road. I love it. So let's run through your Facebook pages, all of your stuff, and let our viewers see the links. It's going to also be in the show notes. And Jolly, do we have so it's Blue Collar Real Estate on Facebook.
Yep.
You're also on all the podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, Libsyn,
iHeart, all that stuff. Yeah.
Yes, so pretty much any platform you can think of, you guys are on, and you go live every Friday at 5 p.m.
Live at 5.
That's a good date, and that's a good time. I'm saying that's like prime time right there. I love it. You guys' show is so interesting, so amazing. And let's see, your first book, Finding Forgiveness. Your second book, Almost Daddy, just came out 4 months ago. It's brand spanking new.
Yep.
Really starting to pick up traction. You're doing amazing gigs, talking and speaking about this book and about your process and your story. So would you like to give any shout outs for the crowd, to the viewers?
What is that in old man parlance? Shout outs. I don't.
I would like to shout out my wife, kids, and grandkids.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, they're
and
my
Jesus,
rocks.
the OG.
I'm totally stealing that. Jesus, the OG.
Available on paperback and Kindle.
And pretty soon it's going to be. I've been dealing with this week. It's going to be available at Barnes and Noble, so you'll be able to get it there. And
perfect.
And whatever.
And an audiobook coming soon.
Yes. Jason, God bless him, is helping me put that process together.
Because when it comes to books on tape, it's got to be the voice of the author.
Right.
Yeah, and you have a very nice speaking voice.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that'll be very interesting. I loved what you guys did with the movie trailer, not movie trailer, but the little
book trailer.
The book trailer.
Yeah,
yeah, it was like a movie trailer, like your son said.
But I without my wife, my kids have all been supportive. And remember, I lost a kid to abortion. My kids lost a sibling.
Right.
An older sibling they'd never know. Mm-hmm. Who would be
mentor.
Right. And so they've been super supportive. My friends have been super supportive. My core circle of friends here in Indy, we call ourselves WTCN. It's we all knew each other in high school.
In Indianapolis. Oh.
But yeah, we're our own station. But they've been super supportive. My buddies, Chris, Mike, and Todd, I've been bouncing stuff off them with this book for almost a year now. Mm-hmm. And they're always right there. They're always there with encouragement.
That's so good to have a support team. It's not necessarily necessary, but it just makes all the difference in the way you feel about, and just feel supported. You got a team behind you.
You can't overstate the importance of having people in your corner.
On your back, yeah.
And people that'll not only support you and give you an attaboy and help push you along, but also tell you when you're full of crap.
be hard on you. Yeah.
Right.
Make you stronger.
Right.
That tough love.
If I walked in, if I sold 1 million books this year, and I walked into my group of guy friends for our once a month Thursday night get together, they would bust my chops just like they did when I was framing decks. Nothing changes, right?
Yeah.
That's the kind of people you need in your life. And honestly, without it, and the other big thing, and he passed away a few years ago, but a pastor I had named Van. He is the one who, and I know we don't have time to get into the whole story. We've already been on here an hour, but who really encouraged me when nobody in the world that I knew was doing post-abortion recovery for men. He's the one that encouraged me to explore it and to find resources, and he read the books with me, and he spent week after week having coffee with me and talking.
That's so sweet.
He passed a few years ago, but without his encouragement and just constant love and support, his non-judgment, right? I don't think I would have made it through the first 5 years of it, let alone the full 10 or 12 it's been now. So it just you can't. I mean, we could sit here for an hour and a half, and I could list thousands of people who have touched my life.
Yeah.
A guy I bumped into under a bridge, literally on Illinois Avenue, sitting in a wheelchair. That guy brought me something.
You bumped into him like with your car?
Oh my God, Jolly.
Truck.
Okay, sorry.
Now it's
crazy how people can touch your life like that.
And that's what
Little angels here and there.
and we have to be in the moment. We have to be present to the moment. Paul Young, one of my favorite authors, says we have to learn to live inside the grace of just one day. So in that moment, in that day, when I bump into somebody, what can I impart to them that they might need? And better yet, what can I receive? What do they have that I might need? It could be a homeless guy. It could be a Karen in the checkout line at Walmart.
Karen.
Y'all know what I'm saying.
Yeah, for sure.
It could be anybody of any age at any stage in life, but there's this constant give and take.
Definitely.
Right? So we give and take good or we give and take bad.
Yeah.
And I believe the more we give and take good, the more we are truly living the nature of God, and that's what we should all be striving for.
Definitely.
Sorry, didn't mean to.
No, that's so true, because I mean, there's so many people that are hurting and that are awful people out there, probably because they are hurting, essentially, I'm guessing. But I mean, just to smile at someone once a day, I miss doing that with all this mask mandate crap. But I mean, it's just small things to bigger things that affect our lives on a daily thing, and that's why I'm so anti suicide too, because I struggle with depression and anxiety, stuff like that, suicidal problems throughout my whole life. But I just want to be a voice for people that it's you have to keep fighting, you have to keep being an amazing person and trying to live through God and just be a good person to other people, because it's just a big chain. It affects everybody. You know what I'm saying? You talking to someone, that guy under the bridge. I mean, it's just I don't know how to explain it. You know what I mean? It's just a big thing. It's a big old thing.
And I don't know what the guy under the bridge got from me, but I know what I got from him.
You got something from him, yeah.
Because I was open to the moment. I was open to the possibility of the moment. And that's a big thing. We all get wrapped up, and forget pre-COVID, right?
Yeah.
We all get wrapped up in our own thing, our own moment, look at our own phone as we're walking down the street. We miss those opportunities to connect with other people.
And the little moments that make all the big moments.
I remember when I was in my 20s, I read this book on quantum field theory, subatomic particles, and that kind of stuff. Right?
Nerd.
Yeah.
Well, it looked interesting, and it was at the library book sale where you got a bag of books for $5 or whatever.
Yeah.
So it was a low-cost read. But I read this book, and I'm like, wait a minute. When they're talking about stuff on the subatomic level, they're talking about, and when you get down to the base of things, everything's just energy. So matter, then, is the density of energy.
Right.
So what separates my hand from this table is just the density of energy. There's truly no space there.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Jason's like, Durr.
Elementary, my dear Watson.
But so then you take it to the next level, right? And I started thinking about the connection between people. And if physically my hand's connected to the table, then doesn't that mean we're connected to all one another? And I'm not trying to get off on some hokey weird thing.
No, yeah, because it's just the space in between is also matter, so technically we're all touching.
Right. But then I started reading the Bible, and I realized that that concept is biblical.
Mm-hmm.
So then, like, I'm,
mind blown.
I didn't finish college. I mean, I just read books when I find them. And so.
Or write them.
Do you remember Mark? He was Mark. What's his name, babe? The guy that does the movie that we were in with Danny Trejo.
Oh.
Not in, but involved with. So he was talking about that. He's like a scientist, and he was talking about the same thing.
Smith,
like,
Mark Smith.
Christianity tying to like subatomic particles and stuff like that. He was going. He was telling me all about it. It's very interesting.
You went pretty deep in the weeds.
I went about as deep as I can go. I'm not a scientist.
Like he was just like blowing my mind with all the info. But that's awesome to tie science to, I don't know, not science, but you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying.
I feel you. Yeah, I pick up what you're putting down.
Here, hand me your book. Actually, there was a few quotes in here at the beginning, and I just loved them. I freaking loved the first chapter. I can't wait to read it. Oh my gosh, really, really amazingly well written. It's great. It's great. So you said the first one on your page here is the quote by Richard Bach: "The meaning I picked, the one that changed my life. Overcome fear, behold wonder." I love that. That's true. I mean, fear really just ties the normal human down, and it just doesn't allow us to be our true selves.
And think about it, when we're children. And
you don't have that fear.
Right. Yeah. When we're not abused children or whatever, but when we're little kids, and I watch it with my grandkids, they have no fear, and they're full of wonder.
Yes.
Every moment is wondrous. Everything they touch, every new texture, every new smell, it's amazing in their eyes.
Yeah.
And somewhere we lose that. Mm-hmm. So the reason I love that quote is because my adult life's journey through recovery and different things has been about finding my way back to that, to let go of fear and behold wonder. I struggle with anxiety too, which is fear.
Right.
Right, at its core. Mm-hmm. So if I can do that, if I can get back to that childlike state, I think that's why Jesus said, "Let the little children come to me," because they're full of wonder and joy and love.
Yes.
So if we can let go of that fear and erase the pain and go back to wonder, to me, that's the goal.
Yes. I've always had this theory, too, that the older you get, you have to really, the older you get, you lose the childlike wonder, and most people will lose it eventually, all of it, but rarely, sometimes people can hold on to it. I've always tried to hold on to it, and I think that's what inspires my writing and my songwriting, but it's most of the time people let it go. Eventually, it's kind of like you have to, the weight of the world, becoming an adult, but to keep like any inkling of that you can, it's very important.
Absolutely.
I'm a Toys R Us kid, so I'm not going to grow up.
I'm never growing up.
There's lots of things at Toys R Us to make you flip your lid.
I missed it. Didn't they die? But they're coming back. Toys R Us, that's what I thought.
In fact, the one in Omaha, I found out last week when I was out there visiting my son, is a giant liquor store now, which is ironic because they kept the Toys R Us sign up.
That's hilarious.
It's an adult toy store now.
Yeah. Well, not that.
Okay,
no, it's different.
Different phrasing, probably.
Yeah, but, wrong phrasing there.
The behold wonder thing, and you're right. A lot of people lose that. I've fought my butt off to not
keep
lose it.
Yes, me too.
A lot of people would say I'm childish, not childlike, but whatever. Tomato. I've heard it both ways. But that's why when I was a coach, and I coached soccer for 20 years, we were never super successful. But I had kids that requested me year after year after year because I made it fun.
Yeah, made an impact on them
your
positively.
Kids playing a kid's game, let's have some fun.
Yeah, not so serious.
Right.
I love seeing though, like the dad coaches that are like cussing the kids out, and they're like blah blah blah, like having aneurysms. Like it's awful, but it's just kind of funny. Like wow, I feel bad for them in a way, poor guys.
Yeah.
To see a good coach that makes all the difference.
And these other ones, it used to drive me nuts when I coached.
They'd be crazy.
This one dad, he and I had an unfortunate exchange of words after a game. He was a coach of the other team, and he's like, "You don't understand. My daughter's a natural forward." I said, Your daughter's 9. She's not a natural anything, but a 9-year-old. Let her be a kid.
Let her be a kid, for sure.
And then he threatened to do some things, and I didn't feel like that was probably going to happen, and it didn't, and we went on. And
then
whatever.
you bumped into him.
He slashed your tires.
Under a bridge.
Yeah.
He's the old
with
guy
his truck.
And he was in a wheelchair.
Yeah. Now, to me, when I was young, and after this and other stuff that happened in my childhood that we don't need to get into, but I had anger issues for a while in my 20s. Mm-hmm. At one point at an event, my mom introduced me. I was living somewhere else. not here. And my mom introduced me as, this is my son that fights for a living. I'm like, no, I don't, Mom. I work in a bar. Sometimes I fight. But I had all this anger and this sort of pent-up stuff.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to be that.
Right.
And so when I see angry guys now,
you just think, what are you going through?
yeah, like, what's going on, bro? Like, I don't want to
You're
sit
like,
down
on a deep level, are you okay?
yeah, like, I'm not trying to do an Oprah moment, like let's hug it out. You
You're
get
like,
a
"There's
car,
something."
you get a car.
Yeah.
But I'm like, let's just chat. What's going on?
Yeah.
Because again, hurt people.
Yeah, it seems like you see the deepness and things like behind the layers. You just don't see what's at the forefront of someone being a douche.
Yeah, Pastor Van called that a gift. I call it a curse.
Yeah, I think that's a gift. But I could see how because it's like almost like you're, psychic in a way. You can feel people out in that regards. It's like something, I can see that you're in pain. I was always one to stop the bullies. LOL. I was like, my whole life I've had a zero bully tolerance. So
Same.
I would bully the bully, but in a caring way, in the same kind of way that you have described. It's like, I can feel that you're clearly like, what's going on, but I never put up with it. I got in fights too with people.
When I bullied the
being
bullies,
mean.
when I was young, I was not gentle and caring about it.
Yeah.
And I thought I was doing
Tasted their own medicine.
a good thing. And that the psychological disorder is called a hero complex. You think you're the good guy and you're whatever.
Actually being the bully in itself, yeah.
And my mom told me when I was me and my older brother when we were kids, you'll never get into trouble if you get in a fight at school if you don't throw the first punch. Well, I'm fairly quick-witted and incredibly sarcastic. So if I want you to hit me, eventually you're gonna.
Yeah.
Right, Jason? Remember my eye and it swelled up?
I don't remember that. That wasn't me.
I don't remember that.
Oh, it was a guy looked just like you, but this giant beard. Anyway, so that was wrong too. I thought I was doing good, but that was wrong because I hadn't dealt with my own brokenness. I feel like a broken record right now, but it really does come back to your
full
own
circle
brokenness.
Yeah, I love how before the show we were chatting too about how just it did take you a long time to write these books because you sat on it, you wanted it to be, and it's kind of like you in your bio on your website it says like you weren't ready at that time for all the knowledge that this requires. You weren't ready to write it at that time, and so you did bits and pieces, but now it's basically just like a beautiful marinated steak and it's perfect. It sat there in the line in the time it needed it incubated. It's all good now. Yum yum, I eat that book. And it takes years to become who a person that we like. I mean, I feel like I always guessed by the time I was 30 that I would have my stuff together, I would know myself better, but really you start right then pretty much getting to know yourself, and then I think it just takes time to grow and just be that wholesome, amazing person. Time.
I felt like she was getting ready to go into song. That's why I didn't say anything.
If I could save time in a bottle,
Ooh, Jim
the
Croce.
first thing that I would do.
I love him.
That was a hit song.
Oh, I love Jim Croce.
The year of my birth, 1974.
Really?
Yes.
You're just a baby.
I could save time
I still am.
in a bottle.
When I was a kid, me and my brother would go to church with my grandma, and we'd come home, and then we'd clean the house with Mom. That was kind of our routine on Sundays. Mm-hmm. And Mom would always be playing Jim Croce.
Oh, I love him.
Or the Commodores. Mm-hmm. Sometimes Simon and Garfunkel. Sometimes the OJs if she was feeling a little funky.
Any Cher?
No.
If I could turn
Thank
back
God.
time.
But he really likes doing Cher.
He
It's
does.
funny. But every time I hear Jim Croce, I'm taken back to that place and time, right?
Me too. It takes me back to my childhood. Listening to, my dad and my mom both love Jim Croce.
Maybe 20 years before your childhood.
Oh, he's so, don't mess with Jim.
Oh, yeah, my
Jim
dad is named Jim.
My stepdad's name's Jim and my dad's name is Tim.
So when I was 6,
My dad's name is Larry.
Irrelevant.
dang it. When I was 6, my dad told me that song was about him.
Don't mess with Jim.
And I believed him.
Yeah.
Because why would I not?
Right.
But,
Gullible.
yeah, I was a gullible kid. I really was.
Did he write Leroy Brown? And it's
Yeah.
bad, Leroy Brown. Baddest man in the whole damn town. Badder than old King Kong. Marina than a junkyard dog. So your other quote in here. So you have quotes on each chapter. You do.
Yeah, each quote kind of sets up the chapter.
So I've read the first chapter. The first chapter's quote is, "It's so much," the first chapter is like, whew, I mean, it just dives right in. It's immediately like, dang, like it's immediately taking you there. I mean, it's very, very well written. So John Steinbeck, "It's so much darker when a light goes out than it would have been if it had never shone."
Yeah, we don't wade into the shallow end of the pool. We dive into the deep end. Mm-hmm. That's kind of the story of my life, actually.
Yeah, that's like if you never even knew about it, then it's fine. But once you see the flicker, then it's like, what the heck?
You know, and that, to me, and the way the book starts, that moment in time, and I wasn't groovy before that. I mean, I had problems, I had issues. I'd been going to Alateen for probably 3 years by then. My dad is a recovering alcoholic.
Ovaltine?
Alateen.
What's it?
Well, Ovaltine.
But we had Ovaltine, which was great.
I love Ovaltine. Wait, what is Alateen?
Well, my dad is a recovering alcoholic.
Okay.
In fact, October he celebrated 45 years sober.
Wow, congrats.
He came to me one day, I was about 15 maybe, and he said, "You should go to Alateen." And I said, "Cool, what's that?" He said, "That's for kids who have alcoholic parents." He said, "My drinking probably screwed you up. They can help." Now, to have the self-awareness to say that to your kid, number one.
That's really sweet, actually.
so I had problems, right, that led me to that moment. But that moment certainly was a hinge point. Just a few weeks later, I was sitting at graduation, and I remember sitting in the gym, and it was hotter than the blue blazes. And I'm sitting there, and I'm trying to be in the moment. And unfortunately, my best defense mechanism that I learned very early as a child was humor. If I was funny and charming, I could hide whatever I wanted to hide behind that curtain, right?
Yeah.
And so, but I'm sitting there, and I couldn't keep a thought about what's this, what's next, what's going on. I had plans to go to college. I had plans to try out for soccer at college. I had an opportunity. Now, I probably would have ended up on the JV squad at very best, but I had the opportunity.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, that moment changed everything in my mind, and things started going. And then I ended up in this weird sort of ping pong trajectory. I tell people all the time, when I was in my 20s, there was a point where, imagine being in a dark room, pitch black, you can't see anything, right? And there's 4 or 5 people around you with bats, not, but like wooden bats.
They're about to beat you.
You get hit with one. You turn that direction. You're like, what was that? And then you get hit with another one from over here. That's what it felt like. Charles Bukowski has a great quote, and it was kind of how I felt about 22, 23 years old, where he says, "We don't even ask for happiness. We just ask for a little less pain." That's how that can affect a person, right? But because I was charming and gregarious and funny and whatever, I hid all that. A good friend of mine who I've been friends with since 9th grade, he and I talked a few months ago, and I explained to him things that happened between 18 and 22 for me. And he said, "Holy crap, dude, how did I not know that?"
Yeah.
I said, "Well, I didn't want you to know."
Hide it real well.
Right. So that hinge point, and that's why the book starts off like that. I want the reader to be right there in the mix of it, right out of the gate.
Yeah, it dives right in.
And then let's climb out of it together.
Yeah.
And that's why the end of the book trailer says, it truly, that's how I see it. It's an invitation to walk this path with Ben. Last thing I want to share, and I know I've been sitting here blabbering.
What? No, this is what it's for. We go however long we want. We don't care.
Usually Jason shuts us down at like 20 minutes. He's like, "Guys, enough real estate. We're done." When you go through abortion recovery, part of the process is naming your children. It gives a certain reverence and respect to them, right? It makes them real.
Yeah.
And you write letters and so forth and so on. Well, I had named, and I knew the first one was a daughter, but I did. And the second one was a boy. So the first one I named Abigail, after Abigail Adams, like the coolest woman in U.S. history ever.
Yeah.
If you read about this lady, and you should, everybody should, she was like the coolest chick ever, I swear to God. She did things where the establishment would tell her this, and she'd be like, "I'm Abigail Adams. I do what I want." She was just awesome. So I've always loved and respected who she was, and so I named my daughter that. And then my favorite man in American history was probably Benjamin Franklin. And so
that's where Ben came from.
Right. So the two main characters are Ben and Abby,
Okay.
or Abigail, which kind of gave, to me, it was a way to give honor and respect to those two children,
Right.
who I'll see someday.
Yeah. In heaven.
No offense to the kids if they're watching, but hopefully not this week. I got.
No, you
yeah.
got a nice long life ahead of you,
Unless you
bud.
get bumped into by somebody.
I feel
Under a
like
bridge.
Jason's going to take me out, is what's going to happen. I'm going to get out of my truck, and this Cadillac's going to come flying out of the garage. And
Oh, I miss my Cadillac. It's being worked on right now.
It's a Jeep Grand Cherokee Limited 4x4 with the
a
Protect 2 package and the
Intel.
Okay, you're screwing me up by saying the same thing.
you guys are hilarious. I can just sit and watch you. Let me just lay back here. What are we doing?
One more viewer.
I love it.
All right, let's wrap this puppy.
Well, thank you so much for being an amazing guest on my show. Everyone needs to check out Greg Mayo's books. He just released a new one, Almost Daddy, and it is a really beautiful book, very touching. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it on your Kindle.
And you can go to GregoryAMayo.com, order the book, contact me about speaking at your event, whatever you want to do.
Yes, Greg does speaks. Speaks.
Greg does speaks.
He speaks.
Greg does speaks. And and he is obviously very good at it. So, I mean, you're just a natural, and you're a host of your own show with Ryan Hergott. Did I say that right? Hergott?
No,
Hergott.
not even close.
Hergott, sorry. Ryan Hergott.
Sorry, Ryan.
You guys got to check out Blue Collar Real Estate every Friday at 5 p.m. Jolly produces them, and it's a great show. Very
That's
interesting.
me. I'm Jolly.
Talks about all kinds of different stuff from real estate to plumbing to the market trends to trading houses to your backyard, all of it. Guys, buy this man's book, Almost Daddy, The Forgotten Story. Really, really beautiful book. Thank you so much for being a
Thanks
guest
for
on
having
my
me on.
show.
It's been a lot of fun. I appreciate it.
Everybody check him out, Greg Mayo. We'll see you next time on The Renee Michelle Merrifield Show.